we will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I took up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man,
MH.
Yes, he is the DB of the show, and we're Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here, interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, covering it all, laughing at all, while providing a platform to be heard. So, right about now, man, we got Young Money in the building. All right, we got my man rocking a lacrosse middle fielder, man. So he's going to have to get in here and let us know about the games and how those positions change, man. But he is also the owner and head of marketing of Vantage Sports, all right? So a member of the Uganda men's national team. So please clap it up for our guy, Yosef Ngowe. Let's go.
Hey, yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, man. So we jump right into it, man. We didn't waste no time. So how we start our show is a shoot your shot moment. All right. So this is where we say, all right, Yosef, what did you do to either bet on yourself, go for it all, and it could have been a good outcome, or you could have fumbled the bag. But either just give us a shoot your shot moment when you bet on yourself.
Okay, most def. So basically, in the lacrosse world, there's not a lot of brothers out there. You know what I'm saying? So I already knew it was an uphill battle for me making it to the Division I level. And when I tell you the amount of people that told me, like, you are not making it to the D1 level. You're from Atlanta. You're a black kid. Like, you don't got the stick skills. You don't got this. You don't got the money, this and that. I moved across the country to Boston my freshman year of high school because my dad moved up there. And I was like, hey, I saw my sister. She had committed to the Naval Academy to play goalie. And I was like, I ain't gonna let my sister be the only D1 athlete in the household. That can't go for that. So I moved up to Boston, and I bet on myself up there. I was working like a dog. You know what I'm saying? And I got cut from my first club team. I got told by my club coach I wouldn't make it to the Division I level. But I still ended up, betting on myself. I went and got a visit down to Mercer University down in Georgia. That's where I'm originally from, Atlanta, Georgia. Loved it down there, and then ended up landing my first Division I offer. Right after that, went to a camp, got a bunch more, and the bet turned out a W. Thankfully, so now I'm a Division I lacrosse player.
Let's go.
Right on, brother, and congratulations for continued success, man. That journey, that path that you've paved for yourself and others, man, doesn't go unnoticed. But where did your love for sports start?
My love for sports, man. I've always been a competitor. My father. He was a track and field star back in Uganda. I'm actually a first generation American. He grew up and was born and raised in Uganda, came over. And I think I just had that competitive spirit passed to me naturally. My sister was in sports, I was in sports, and I always just had that fire in me that, I hate losing. It's like I can't stand it. And then, I got introduced to things like football. I'm from Atlanta. Like in Atlanta, like sports is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I was one of the more athletic kids, faster kids. So it just kind of came naturally. I always fell in love with sports. Lacrosse in particularly, you show a kid that you can hit other kids with some sticks and get away with it. I mean, shit. I was like, let me go. And then right after that, just fell in love with it.
So that's kind of like the interesting draw. I remember I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I remember there was two things about lacrosse players that I recognized in high school. Was one, their shorts was always cooler than everybody else's. Like, I don't know why their gear looked better. And then two, they had that long stick on the defense. Pause. But they had that long stick on defense.
Super
that they would hit people with, man. And as a football player, I was like, man, that looked dope. So was football first before lacrosse, or how did that transition happen?
Yes, so I started lacrosse when I was 6 years old. So I mean, sports all started around that same time. You can't really do much before when you look. There's flag football, and then lacrosse is a spring sport. So a lot of the times, the lacrosse coaches would come to the football kids or the kids in the community and say, "Hey, you ain't doing nothing in the spring. Come play lacrosse." I'm out here playing soccer, and I'm like, man, I like hitting people. You know what I'm saying? I want to go play lacrosse. Plus, my sister was playing it, so it was just an easy transition. So around 6 years old is when I started off.
And speaking of transition, man, I know you touched on this, but Atlanta, Georgia to Boston. I've lived in both areas, and I understand the difference, right? So, how was that transition for you?
Nah, it was interesting. So I grew up in.
That's a good word for it. That's a great word for it.
So I go from Decatur, Georgia, to Alpharetta, Georgia. So even that transition was big.
Yeah.
Like, basically, like predominantly black, but very black area, East Atlanta, to a very suburban area. And I went through some stuff over there. That's a whole other story. But then
we got time.
We got time.
And then I go up to Boston, and it's just like everything. Just the culture up there is different. Now I'm calling people sir, ma'am. They looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? They looking at me like, huh? You know what I'm saying? And then like little things, and the food. I ain't gonna lie, I miss my food. South, man. You don't see no fast food up here. You don't see none of that. No Chick-fil-A. I'm like, dang, I don't even. People telling me like I never had Chick-fil-A in my life. I'm like, you never had what? Like, how?
Go to Dunkin'.
Yeah, go to cream. Like, come on, they missing out on the. I mean, I like there are benefits, and you know what I'm saying, pros and cons to each spot. And I made some really good friends up here. In Boston, some friends, you know, they're gonna be with me for the rest of my life. You know, some of my best friends are up here in Boston, and then my little brother's up here as well. So just, you know, having that side of my family and being able to, you know, get closer with my father as well, because I've been living with my mom for the majority of my life ever since they got divorced. So, you know, being able to get that relationship with my father and, you know, spend high school up here was definitely dope. So I think I had a very good experience up in Massachusetts for sure.
That's awesome, man. So you talk track, man, and that's, you know, we've all had our stints in track here, you know, for whatever level. So what was the sports? What was your dad's sports events, I should say, excuse me. And then what was your events in track?
400 meter. And I ran indoor track in Boston. So
okay.
He ran track at Wabash College. So, but he had Division I offers as well. He was a very good track athlete. But he was more naturally gifted. Like, he even says, like, yeah, I didn't work like you. Like, I was just fast. I didn't think I needed to work. You know what I mean? So it's like he regrets it now that if he would have put in the work, he could have went further with it. But yeah, I kind of fell in love with track as well. In high school is when I started, and I ran the 300 meter because indoor track is a bit different than outdoor, and like there's different events. Like 400 meter doesn't really exist in the indoor space, at least where I'm from. In Massachusetts, because indoors in the winter and lacrosse is in the spring. And I was basically running track to get faster for lacrosse and football. I was thinking, oh, you know, it's a good workout. Like, you know, let me get faster. And I feel like a lot of people enter track that way. Like, hey, I want to go get faster in another sport. But then you kind of get that.
All right, that's what I'm about to say. Or when your football coach, the track coach too, so you got to go out there.
Yeah. You locked in for sure. But basically, I ran the 300 meter. I ran the 4x2, 4x4, and the high jump at almost every meet, and I was dying at almost every because it gets to a lot. But I fell in love with track too because it's just like the whole team, everybody watching you, you know, and it's just you. Ain't no coach worry about you. Ain't no. It's on you to go out there and run, and it's like it's definitely a whole different type of dynamic, and I really love track as well, especially that 4x4. Like you hawk somebody down the 4x4. That's the best feeling because I was the anchor, so it was like, you know what I'm saying, like that's when you get everybody just waiting. So yeah, track is dope.
Yeah, you brought back some not so fond memories for me. 4x4. So I ran the second leg. You know, they put the guy that's all right in the second leg, but you know, just maintain what the first guy did. But there was a strategy my senior year in high school. Like they started putting all the anchors in the second leg, and I'm like, yo, my hamstring's about to bust. I'm running so hard, like, but I can't run with these dudes, man. So you brought back some memories. So I love football, man. I think EJ and I both love football, and kind of watch it, not knowing the game of lacrosse. I was just kind of watching in prep, watching your film at Mercer, and I'm like, man, he looked like a corner to me, like the way you shuffling your feet and staying in front of people, man. So talk to me about a little bit about your football game and how those two things kind of relate.
Yeah, definitely. So football, I played all growing up, especially in Georgia. But the thing, that's another transition from Georgia to Massachusetts, man. The football difference, like no disrespect to Massachusetts.
You can disrespect it.
We understand.
Like,
We understand.
Georgia football, no joke. So it's like in Massachusetts, like it's just different. There's a gap there. So I'm going to a school in Massachusetts, and it's like it's a much smaller market. I knew I couldn't really get recruited like that. So I played wide receiver, kick returner, and safety in football. I could always hit. Like you saw my highlights at Mercer. Like I'd be laying dudes out. Like I hit like as a safety. So I played my freshman and sophomore year. But I actually took a break from football my junior year because I was like, hey, I want to go D1 for lacrosse. Like, I need to play lacrosse year round. Like, I'm playing in the fall. So
that's when that was the turn then. That's when you're like, you know what, I want this and I'm locked in.
It was really always that turn, but it was more like I need to do even more. You know, I need to play in the fall to ensure that I can get these offers pretty much too. Because I was playing for a smaller club, and like in lacrosse, it's all club, summer ball, fall ball, like different stuff. So I was like, you know, I just want to lacrosse is my true love. I'm not planning on playing college football anyways. Let me go focus on lacrosse. But then I moved down to Georgia. I came back to Georgia my senior year. So after I committed to Mercer, I moved back in state to get the Hope Scholarship, which is basically when you have a high GPA, you get some money to go to college, just to, you know, take that pressure off my parents, and then get one more year with my mom as well. Ended up being COVID, so it was like half a year. But, you know, football, I wasn't even going to play football when I came down there. But, man, the coaches was on me because they was like, I know you play football in Massachusetts. They see the new 6'3" Division I commit coming in. Like, you going to play football. Like, it was already like 3-4 games into the season. And I was finally like, man, if they still going to let me come on, like, I may as well. It's my last time playing football. But these games was like 1,000+ people in the crowd. They had just won state. It was Milton, Georgia. And Milton is like that. Like, they had just won state 7A in Georgia, like top 50 team in the country, hands down. So they games is on TV. You get an interview. It's all that. And I definitely had a great experience there. So I didn't get crazy playing time or nothing. I mean, I came in 5 games late into the season, but like they brought me on as, you know, a player just as well. And I was grinding, and I even got a little bit of field time too. But, you know, I love football too. You know, it's a really great sport. It's probably my second love is football.
So from being in the game, man, and I know there's some historical context of why lacrosse is so big on the East Coast versus other parts in our country. Why do you think it's so big there?
I think it just became a really like niche sport, you know, and almost kind of got gatekeeped in a way because lacrosse equipment and lacrosse clubs, lacrosse, anything is expensive, especially in comparison to other sports. And it's not only is it expensive, but there's not the revenue generation that other sports have to allow it to grow. Like with football, it would be super expensive, but because you're making money off of playing football, or these schools are making money, like everybody get the equipment, everybody get everything supplied, all that, like it's good. Lacrosse is like, to start a program, you're gonna have to spend this amount of money and you're not really gonna get it back. So it's like you almost had to be from an affluent area in order to play. And I think up in, you know, Maryland, these prep schools, private schools are able to afford that, but a lot of other places aren't. And then it just kind of niched itself over time to those areas. But now you see it definitely growing. Like I was just at a camp, and we'll probably get to this later, you know, full of African-American lacrosse players from all over the country. And we were being coached by African-American lacrosse players who made it to the professional level. So it's like, it's definitely growing. Even in Atlanta, you know, there's teams that can compete now with these Maryland teams. You know, even the team I was on my senior year, Milton High School, like we were, you know what I'm saying? Like I played in Massachusetts and I played in Georgia, and I tell you, like my team in Georgia would have probably beat the team I was playing for in Massachusetts. We had a Notre Dame commit, Air Force commit, we had a bunch of other, you know, Division I level players, and there's a couple club teams down there that could really compete. So I think it's definitely growing, but that's probably the reasoning as to why it's kind of locked into a few areas.
Well, it does seem like, I don't want to say elitist, but it is one of those like not easy to break into sports, because like I didn't know anything about lacrosse until maybe college. I mean, that it came up because like the high schools in my area wasn't really I mean, and is it mostly private schools that have that, or do you know, just in that area that you've seen? Well, let's just talk Georgia and Boston or Massachusetts, whatever. Did you see, like, is it other than private institutions that had the game?
Definitely, it depends. So in some states, lacrosse is not even a registered sport. So like in Texas, for example, there is no high school lacrosse. Like, it's all club. Like, they have teams at their high schools, but they're club. They don't have field time. They don't have the Texas high school administration behind them, because
Right.
that would make it so that the state of Texas, I think, has to support the sport, and like the schools have to pay for it. So some states was just like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not gonna add lacrosse. And so it's like, when you go to Georgia, luckily GHSA, and like, it's a registered sport in Georgia. That's why it's grown so quickly in Georgia. Especially when you get these like freak athletes that hop into the sport, it's like, introducing it to them. But, like the public school, it depends on where you're from. So in Massachusetts, the better schools are the private schools, because a lot of kids take gap years and go to these private schools, and like, it's just better when you're in a private school. But in Georgia, it's almost the reverse, because the public schools in Georgia are like 5,000-6,000 kids compared to like 1,000-2,000 kids in Massachusetts. So the public schools dominate in sports, and like, a lot of kids that are the really good schools, especially in like the area I was from, Fulton County. You can go to schools where kids that could easily afford private school would rather go to the public school to just get that experience, because they have everything offered. So it really just depends on where you're from. But I think, public and private, as long as the sport is being offered in that state, you'll find it at both public and private schools.
You touched a little bit on, man, earlier, your sister and her being goalie. I'm a part of a kind of a competitive household as well. How did that work to motivate you? And, what talk a little bit about your sister. I know this is about you, but it's always good to give her some shine too. So like, talk about that, growing up with your sister and that competitive juice there.
Absolutely. My sister was a deep, even without realizing it, like, you look up to your older sibling. She's my older sister. And like, she was definitely an inspiration for me. You know what I mean? Because I had been really depressed at one time in my life. I didn't really have a lot of direction. I got sent to a military school at one point in my life. And my sister, around that same point, was, being successful in lacrosse and showing that there's an avenue to change your life using the sport that I already loved so much. And so I was like, I didn't really know what to do. And she showed me, in a way, like, you do this, you can achieve this. And so it's just like, she saved my life in a way, gave me definitely like a new direction, and kind of inspired me to, take it even further athletically. So I really appreciate my sister for that.
So if we take you guys out of the backyard right now, are you scoring on your sister?
Well, absolutely. She watched.
So best out of 5, you got her. Best out of 5.
Come on now.
All right, man. So we're going to move along, man. So this is not, we want to kind of talk about, in the game, man. So we're going to take it from, now, you're really locked in, you have that focus, and you say, you know what, man, I have a talent. I want to be a D1. I want to get to college. Talk to us about like that recruiting, right? Because like how you initially got to where you received that D1 scholarship, but you had to make a change, man. So kind of talk to us about how that recruit process was.
Definitely. It was tough. It was tough. I mean, when I came to Boston my freshman year, I came because it was a bigger lacrosse area. But what I didn't realize is a lot of the club teams up here had the same kids since 3rd grade on the class of 2020 lacrosse team. You know what I mean? So you coming in at a major disadvantage, because that's old dude that bought the helmets, or that's, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the dad that brings orange slices to the game. Like, what they go, some new kid from Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna be the only black player on the team. Like, there's stuff that like kind of goes against you. But
were you the only for some time, or for some of your club teams?
Oh, like most of my teams. Most of my teams growing up, one of one or one of two. Even in college, it was me and one other player. That was an African-American player this past year. But like, it's definitely a motivating factor as well, because you get to show other people, the younger generation, maybe a African-American that is looking into lacrosse, but you get to be a representative for that person. It's almost bigger than yourself playing that sport. And also just proving what we can do, you know what I mean? Proving that, just because it's lacrosse don't mean black people can't play it. And I think there's there's some stigmatization that goes for even Black lacrosse players. And if you were to speak with other Black lacrosse players that are higher up, you know, the things we got to go through, we get told we don't got the lacrosse IQ, or we don't got the stick skills, or things like that. And it's just like seen in that way. So trying to like prove that wrong is one of my main motivations to get recruited. So as far as recruiting went, you know, I was recruited very late in my process. I had to play for a smaller club team. And I basically had to recruit myself in a way. You know, I learned.
Put yourself out there, right?
Exactly. Put myself out there. And that's one of the things. If any athlete is watching this, these coaches ain't going to find you through magic. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how good you is. The kid that's good, and emailing them and telling them exactly where they're going to be and telling them that they're interested in their school is going to get recruited over you 10 times out of 10 because they're showing interest. They're putting themselves out there. So if you want to go get recruited, email coaches. I was able to get to Mercer and even through the transfer portal to Lindenwood University by reaching out to coaches and being active in my own recruitment. You know, recruit yourself. If you really care about it, you gotta be about it on the field, off the field. Get your grades right, ACT scores. Make it so easy for coaches to recruit you. You know, don't make it any harder than it already is.
Facts. There you go.
So give us a scouting report on your game, and then the number 90. Why the number 90? Is there some backstory to that?
There's really no backstory. It was just one of the numbers available. I'll be wearing number 2 for the Uganda men's national team and number 27 at Lindenwood University next year. But yeah, so a little bit about my game. So yeah,
hey, he leaned back really quick. He's like, yeah, let me get into it. Let me tell you a little some. I love it. Let's go.
They're gonna make a scouting report, but nah. You know, I say one of my biggest strengths ever since I was a kid is just my clearing ability. Like I said, I was a kick returner in football, and you know, a lot of those skills translate. You know, it's clearing in lacrosse, taking the ball from the defensive end of the field to the offensive end of the field. And I'm really good in the open field. You know, I'm a faster player, and I'm really good. I'm really shifty in the open field. I love pushing transition. You know, trying to score the ball, get an assist. And I'm really good on the defensive side of the field as well. You know, as a midfielder, you got to be able to play both sides of the field. So in lacrosse, for those who don't know, I'll just basically explain it really quickly. So we
need that, please.
Please
bless us in our audience with that.
I'm gonna take my notepad out. Yeah.
So there's attack, defense, and midfield. So
all right, give us the basics really quick. So how many people on the field?
11, including 2 goalies. So there's 3 attackmen on the offensive side of the field, guarded by 3 defenders. That's people with the long sticks, as you was talking about earlier. They cannot cross the 50-yard line unless a midfielder like stays back for them. Like there has to be a certain number of people on that side of the 50, and it's usually it's going to be those people pretty much. And then the midfielders are able to go both sides. And there's a lot of substitutions in lacrosse because imagine you were really good at offense and you're a midfielder, and all of a sudden the ball gets turned over, they're running it back, and now you're on defense. Like, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the time, and same thing with the dude who's really good on defense as a midfielder comes on offense. Like that's not there, and there's someone who's really good at offense on the sideline. So a lot of the times they move it to the attack who's really good at offense, then they sub off, and that guy will follow them off. Then 2 people who specialize in those positions come on. So it's a lot of substitutions for the midfield, a lot of running, a lot of knowing both sides of the field. So yeah, and I'll kind of get back. So so the defense stays on one side, the attack stays on one side, you know what I'm saying? Then the midfielders kind of play both in a way. But there's also specialties in the midfield position. And then, yeah, my game is just, you know, doing whatever role I'm put in. But, you know, I've always been a midfielder since day one. I think that's just because of my athleticism and because of like where I fit in as a player. I really like pushing transition. And I like playing both sides of the ball. You know, I love offense, I love defense. So it's like it kind of like I feel no shame in being a defensive midfielder. You know, I like hitting people, I like ball, I like clearing it, but at the same time, I like scoring and I like getting assists. So it's like,
oh, we lost you there. A little light on it.
So I think maybe
go ahead.
Yeah, open my AirPod.
So
I think midfield is the perfect position for me. That way I can kind of do both.
Got you. Now, one thing that so Paul, I think is Reb from he's the president of the PLL, which is the Professional Lacrosse League. He said something interesting about like that lacrosse pairs like all of the sports, right? So even hearing you kind of describe some of that, I was thinking about soccer, right? Like, you know, you have a person that can go, you know, both sides of the field, goalie, but then it talks about like football where you can hit and have that contact aggression. Talked about the hand-eye coordination, whether it's tennis or just it just like combines like so many sports, man. So I could, and he talks about that's how he kind of like falls in love with it, and even talks about which you kind of alluded to, right? Being in that open court, right? Like even basketball, where you you may be a little shifty and you know have somebody roll an ankle or something out there. So it's interesting to see that sport. And the other thing that threw me off, like MA said, doing our research, that this is the North America's oldest sport.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that this is like before any other of our, you know, top four, we'll call it. This is like the oldest sport in North America, to where like Indians were playing this like back in the days. And we're talking like 1663 or something like that. So it's just interesting that this has been around so long. How it combines all of these, you know, traditional sports that only have certain segments. And, you know, I'm glad to see that it's kind of growing in popularity, man. And I'm glad we have people like you that's blazing the trail.
Yeah. I mean, and the greatest athlete that I know of, Jim Brown, was like, it's like a Hall of Fame lacrosse player. Like he's might be the best ever from what I've read and researched. I ain't that old. I ain't never seen it, but I've heard his greatness. Let me ask you this, because, and this is a novice question. Tell me if it's out of pocket or whatever the case is. But, you know, I always like to kind of think of the relationships between player and coach in different sports. You know, like in football, like, you know, like your DB coach might honestly be your head coach, right? The head coach just come in and say, good job, guys. And most of the time you talk to your DB coach. In basketball, it's like the head coach is kind of in control more of it because it's open flow. What's the player-coach relationship in lacrosse?
I think it depends high school level, middle school level, club level versus college. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But like, I'll just speak at the college level. Like, I think it's a very tight-knit group when it comes to lacrosse, because it's like with football, it's so big and y'all have so many, especially at the college level, where you're like, DB coach may as well be your head coach, and you're going to have to go through him to get to your head coach usually, because there's 100 people plus on the team. You can't just go walk into the office. But like 45 people to 60, you know what I'm saying? And like these coaches recruited you, like it's a very good relationship. You know, I already, you know, I haven't even stepped foot at Lindenwood University. I call the coach that's recruited me there almost every day, and we already chop it up and already have built that relationship. So it's like, I think the head coach player relationship is very important in lacrosse, and also, you know, knowing the coordinators as well. And like as a midfielder, usually there's like an offensive defensive coordinator. So it really just depends on which side of the ball you are as a midfielder. But I think, you know, you can make that same relationship. Like you can talk to your head coach definitely in lacrosse and like have that same relationship.
Love it.
You excited about the transfer? Oh, my bad, EJ.
Oh, you good?
Absolutely.
Why Lindenwood?
A couple of reasons. So for one, I just needed to be somewhere where I knew I could reach my full potential as a player. You know, right now I'm representing my country, the Uganda men's national team, not only at the U21 World Games this summer in Ireland, hopefully, but also at the men's level next year in San Diego. And so I just didn't feel that I was in the right place. And that's why I entered the transfer portal. And, you know, I was looking at a lot of other schools, but I didn't want to go from a bad situation to a bad situation. You know what I mean? I kind of had learned my lesson in a way. And I realized, like, I was talking about a lot of the hardships I went through before. I hadn't had a coach that truly believed in me in years. Like, and like, no disrespect to any previous coaches I've had, but it's just like I truly got that connection with Lindenwood, and I got that trust and that belief that, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna shoot it straight. And that kind of opened my eyes, because at first I wasn't even like, I was looking at bigger schools, I was looking at other schools like that, and then I realized, like, man, that's not what you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been the the bigger school dude. I still made it this, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me go build something. Let me go be a leader somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And like be able to, you know, step into a situation like, man, we at the Division I level, just like anyone else, like I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, place us against anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna say no other team can beat me and my boys, you know what I'm saying? Especially like in lacrosse, where it's like a very competitive sport, from like D2 schools can beat D1 schools in this sport. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of competition. So I was just thinking like, man, you put me in their system, you allow me to join these other transfers that are coming in, join this group of brotherhood that's already has a winning culture behind it. And that's one of the emphases too, is like, I want to be in somewhere with a winning culture, you know, the right type of leadership, the right type of culture. And I just got that, you know what I'm saying? Everything that I was being told, everything that I was seeing on my visit, the people I've already met in that organization, you know, I just got all of my boxes checked. And then, you know, I was getting some scholarship money as well to be able to, you know, take that burden off my parents.
Right.
And you know what? I'm going, you know what I'm saying?
Move.
Do this. Exactly. I was like, let's do this. And then, you know, I really like that decision I made. You know, I'm very confident in it. I'm really excited, you know, to step on campus next year.
Now, during that process, even early on, or just during this process where you're into the portal, were there any HBCUs that you looked at? And then what's the quality of HBCUs lacrosse, right? Because I saw, you know, I was just looking, I saw Hampton. I was attempting to get pictures because a locker room show MH and I did talked about like baseball and like where that's going and how like some of these HBCU campuses, the baseball team is all white. So did you look at any HBCUs and do you know anything about like lacrosse being played at any of the, you know, major institutions?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's actually only one HBCU that's at the Division I level. That's Hampton University.
Hampton. And that was the one I looked at. Okay.
Bunch of the boy their coaches. Now I had spoken to them in high school when I was getting recruited. I didn't really get the chance really to look into it that hard. I kind of committed to Lindenwood, but you know, I don't know if I would have. I don't know. I didn't really look into it enough to really speak on it. You know what I'm saying? But
absolutely,
you know, Hampton definitely an up and coming program, and I don't know if I would have fit in or got everything I needed exactly from that institution. But I definitely think HBCUs like should definitely implement lacrosse into them. And I think there's a lot of things going on right now. You know, Morgan State and a lot of these other teams are starting to play lacrosse as well and grow the game at HBCUs. So I think we'll see a lot more and a lot more funding and a lot more attention to HBCU lacrosse in the next upcoming years. And hopefully kids like me, you know, or bigger recruits can start attending, you know, some HBCU schools, just similar like we're seeing in football and some other sports.
Absolutely.
Can I get my old head question in, bro? Can I get an old head question in?
Dude.
Man, this transfer portal is like crazy to me outside looking in, bro. So what was kind of like when you inside this portal, give me your mental thought. Because we always hear about, hey, I'm in the transfer portal. And either they disappear or they just appear somewhere else. So like, give me the process and your mental when you were in there.
Nah, it's stressful, man. It's like getting recruited all over again. You basically a college dropout until you find us. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. Like, cause what you gonna do? Enter the portal? My bad, I ain't getting no offers. I'm coming back. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right, right, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Like, nah,
I'm just bullshitting.
But at the same time, I think it really offers opportunity for athletes to get out of toxic situations and make decisions for their lives that are not determined by a coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like by
or a situation. Yeah, because sometimes you're just in a bad situation, right?
Sometimes it's just like maybe you want to get closer to home or something happened. You can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? There's so many other situations that like I think we're being overlooked too. People just say, oh, they're going like this big football player going to transfer to here and get, you know what I'm saying, get this NIL deal or this. And I'm like, but there's so many other things. Like not everybody play football and basketball. You know what I'm saying? There's so many other reasons. And like people transfer schools. It's school. There's academics. There's academics like your major. Like if you switch to a different major, they don't offer that at your school. Before the transfer portal was a thing, I can't transfer because then I can't play.
I know.
I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be
we know about that. You said we
make no sense. So I definitely think like it's helped a lot of athletes more than it's, hurt. But me personally, my experience was pretty interesting. I like it was pretty interesting. It's just getting recruited all over again, visiting schools, and I've been extremely busy with a lot of other stuff. So I'm glad I ended up somewhere, where I can look forward to.
And that you have that, like, I could see the excitement when you were talking about it, man. You
Yeah.
feel that this is the fit. You feel that they're going to bring the most out of you. Like, so that's definitely good to see that, man. So one thing you kind of mentioned, and we definitely want to focus on this, is that, and you are an part owner, and the head of marketing while you're in school, of Vantage Sports. So, man, talk about that, because it's really relative to one of those acronyms you use, NIL, man. So tell us a little bit about that role and how you got started with it.
Definitely. So I'll just go back from the beginning. At first I was just a social media influencer, making lacrosse videos, how to get recruited, some moves, things like that, of that nature. And Vantage Sports, this is before even NIL was a thing, but it was on its way. It was on its way. And I'm a marketing major myself, so the platform TikTok, which I was on, I'd seen it kind of for what it was, which is a marketing tool. Like, you can get numbers, unheard of numbers on TikTok, and people don't even realize. And I was just seeing, like, dang, there's really an avenue here to market myself, especially in social media marketing in general, which is kind of the way I saw the world going. So I wanted to hop into it. And Vantage Sports reached out to me originally just as a creator, just a content creator, throw up some videos, this and that. And what Vantage Sports is a platform where any college athlete can make money by giving back to their community, in such that they're basically giving coaching and recruiting advice to youth and high school athletes, either in their area or away. So you can give like a Zoom session with an athlete that's 30 minutes, teaching them, hey, this is how you write an email to a coach. Like, if you go to this camp, like, here's the camps you should go to when you go to this camp. Like,
That makes sense. So when I went to the website and I'm seeing all these players and it says they're training, like, they, kind of like their markers, that's showing how many trainings that they're doing. And then you can, got you. Okay.
Exactly. So it's like, it gives an opportunity to make money through NIL by actually, putting in work in a way. You becoming a college, like, you coaching youth and high school kids. It's NIL kind of differently than the one-off marketing deals, or put some in your bio. You can set your own prices, set your own times, give kids lessons in your area. A lot of college athletes before are already kind of coaching a couple kids in their area. So this gives a platform that ensures the college athletes, that makes it simple, makes it easy. With my marketing, college athletes will sign up and say, Yosef, I signed up, and I'll make them a quick edit. They could throw it up. I throw it up on the TikTok. And I was able to grow their account from 2,000 followers to almost 270,000 followers now. It's at Vantage Sports. And we actually, while I was doing that, I built a network with a lot of other college athlete creators. I wanted to have representation from a male and female athlete from almost every major sport, because this is for any athlete. D1, D2, D3. You can be on Vantage Sports, giving back to youth and high school kids that want to learn what it's like to play in college, want to learn what it takes, train with you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a really great way to kind of help kids get recruited, something that I wish I had in high school.
So no charge for these athletes to sign on the platform?
None at all. And even the money they set, like, if I set my camp for $50, I'm getting paid $50. Like, it's no skimming off the top, none of that. So it's like, you set your own prices, set your own times. It's completely about getting college athletes, that value, and also getting these high school and youth athletes value that they might not have been able to receive directly from college athletes at the level that they want to reach. Like, there's a lot of recruiting websites out there that kind of robbing kids in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm a if I want to play Division I lacrosse, like, why am I paying $800, $900 to learn from, like, a former D3 swimmer who's now a recruiting expert on X and X website? You know what I'm saying? And they gonna teach me, you know what I mean? Like, but now it's like, hey, I want to play D1 lacrosse at Lindenwood University. I'm gonna go talk to Yosef Ngowe on how he got there, and he gonna say, hey, just do this, do this, do this. And if you want to come train, see what it's like, yo, you got to work on this, bro. Like, let's hit this move. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it's like, that's a much more genuine connection. And that gets money in the hands of the college athletes and keeps money in the hands of those youth and high school athletes. Because a lot of our athletes are only charging, like, the average cost is like $50 per session, compared to $800, $900 you'd be paying on other recruiting websites who don't even offer training. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's definitely something. I think if you're a parent out there who wants to help your kid reach the next level, go ahead and get them an account on Vantage Sports, completely free to sign up. You can pick from, we have over 400 college athletes on our website. You can pick from any one of them. I'm sorry, I'm marketing a little bit on this podcast.
That's what you're supposed to do. Let's go.
You can
Ish.
any one of them, you know what I'm saying? Any sport. So it's like, and you can build that connection, build that network. You know, you might have a senior in high school training with a kid he might be teammates with next year if everything works out. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, I think, a better option, and also just something good in the NIL space, which I think, like, there's been too much negativity around NIL. You know, there's a lot of opportunity here. It's given me the opportunity, a job opportunity, to step up in a leadership role at a company and be a part owner and the head of marketing at 20 years old, which is something, you know, wouldn't have been possible without name and.
Let's go. Absolutely.
Right.
Hey, MH, you want to jump into those quick hits?
Yeah, man. Shout out, man. Congratulations on that, man.
Yes, sir.
So these are just kind of more get to know you questions from our listeners, man. Just a little kind of first thing that comes to mind. So who's your hero?
My hero. Ooh, that's a tough one. I have to say my father, you know, coming from Uganda, and making it as far as, you know, again, he has a PhD. He was able to raise his family, you know, like bringing me out here, offering these opportunities, you know, it really humbles you and knows, like, you going through stuff you ain't going through, you know what I'm saying? Like, this man came from Africa, like, and even my grandfather being able to get him out, even political asylum, you know, in Uganda, there's been a lot of, you know, just do your research, you know, there's been a lot of things that have happened over in that country. So I feel truly blessed, you know, being the situation I am, that a lot of my family members back in Uganda aren't in that situation, would do anything to be in America. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I definitely feel that responsibility that I have to come up and I have to make it, and, you know, offer opportunities to, you know, not only future members of my family that are already here, but also the members of my family that are still back there.
Let's go.
I love it, man. You a movie guy?
Yeah.
Give me your top 5 movies.
Top 5. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna go with the series because I want to pick one or the other, but I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Harry Potter for sure. Gotta be in your, you know what I'm saying? That's me. And then I'm gonna say,
You got 2 more.
yeah. iRobot with Will Smith for
Come
sure.
on.
Hitch for Will Smith. I'm a Will Smith. Will Smith, my dog, man. Will Smith, my dog. So Hitch and iRobot. Those are the other 2.
There
we're going to have to talk about that, bro. If money was no object, what would you do all day?
Money was no object. What would I do all day? Play lacrosse, man. You know what I'm saying? I love the game so much. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm about. You know.
Let's talk about some shoe game here. What's your go-to, man? Here, give me your top 3 shoes.
Well, I actually wear a size 16, so I am.
Ooh,
what the?
Yeah, I am so limited in my shoes. Like,
oh man,
can't find no store or something, but so I'm gonna have to go Air Forces because they run big, so I can get.
So you cut your toenails and squeeze in the 15.
You know I can squeeze that through, and then I'm gonna have to go 4s. I mess with 4s. I got some UNC 4s I rock with. So yeah, Air Forces and 4s definitely the move. I need to up my shoe game though. I need to up it. Need to get my bread up and then go shopping for stuff.
That's what's up.
Give me your favorite holiday.
Favorite holiday. Ooh, it's a tough one, man. I'm gonna have to go with Thanksgiving. I feel like you're around a lot of your family on Thanksgiving, you know, and the food is always slapping. Come on, now.
Especially after living in Boston for a while, you need that food, boy.
Exactly. Need it. Necessary for sure. And it's definitely, you know, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Thanksgiving.
Okay. And then give me 2 people that you would like, athletes, because you're an athlete. Give me 2 people that you would like to just have lunch with, man. Spend a day with.
I'm gonna have to go with Usain Bolt, number 1, and then I'm gonna have to go with LeBron James, number 2. I think his business mind, his work ethic, like how far he's been able to make it, not just in sports, but out of sports as well. Just I feel like that conversation would be amazing. And Usain Bolt, like his greatness, man. That I've seen his documentary. That work. You know, I definitely love to have lunch with them for sure.
That's what's up, man. Hey, so Will Smith's running up on stage on you. What we doing, man? You giving him a hug? You moving? What we got? What we doing?
How he running out though? How he running? He finna slide.
He ran up just like he ran up just like he ran up on Chris.
The war show ran up like King Richard.
I'm ducking that. So yeah, I don't know if I hit him back. I'm gonna say, hey, chill out now. Hey, because I mess with you. Just because I mess with you, I ain't gonna do you like that on stage. Don't do that though. But nah. Will Smith my dog. Will Smith my dog for sure.
Yes, sir. All good, EJ.
All right, man. So now what we want to do is jump into the winner's circle, man. So this is just definitely just a platform. You know, you're doing a lot of great things, man. But I think just, kind of as building this relationship is one of the things, you want to talk about. And I think, share about your side of it too, but you really want to put the focus, man. So you have the honor, like you said, to play for your Uganda men's team. But you kind of reached out to us and you just kind of letting us know what's going on with the Uganda women's team. So I'm going to shut the hell up, man, and give you this platform and like get it out there, man. Talk to us about what's going on and then just, how we could help.
Yeah, so the Uganda women's team was actually denied visas into the United States, so they weren't able to compete at the World Championships, this past World Championship. So I just want to, spread some awareness there and, keep them in your prayers because it was years in the making, so I feel really terribly for them. And what's even worse what's even worse on top of that is that my team, the U21 men's national team, we also are at risk of not being able to compete in Ireland strictly because we don't have enough money to get flights for a few of our players. And it's crazy. That shouldn't be an issue, in the lacrosse world. And we were talking about equipment and expenses. You can imagine for an American player, and I'm only one of 2 American players on the U21 national team. Everyone else, we have to raise the money for them to afford the equipment, get the equipment to them, and get them the proper training. They coming out to practice in socks and with a smile on their face because they love the game that much. And we're the first African country to actually have a lacrosse team. So having 2 teams not represented at the world stage would be terrible in one year. So, if anyone out there is listening that has the funds, that feels motivated to give back or grow a game in the African community, please go to the link in my bio on my Instagram. It's Yosef, Yosef, Ngowe. Go ahead and follow me there. And you'll be able to get the donation link. It's a 501c3. You can write it off on taxes and everything. You know what I'm saying? If you can give a player sponsorship, any amount matters. And if you text Uganda to 801-801, you can give a $5 donation right now. So that's Uganda to 801-801. And that also goes to the 501c3 Origins Leadership. And I really appreciate that because, I don't want money to be the reason why we can't compete in Ireland. I don't want a flight. I don't want lacrosse equipment, so if anyone can do that, it'd be much appreciated. And definitely shout out to everyone who's already donated already. I've spoken on this on some of my social media platforms before. So, I really appreciate everyone who's donated already. And if we get the chance to compete, best believe we coming. You know what I'm saying? These boys been working. I've been working. I'm really excited to represent my country.
Yeah, talk about that, man. Representing your country, man. That is it's like mind-blowing thing to kind of think about, to represent something that's definitely outside of yourself. What's your thoughts on that, and how does that make you feel?
I think for one, what are the odds that Uganda, out of all countries, ends up being the one country with a lacrosse team? When I'm a lacrosse player, like that's when I heard like back in 2014, Uganda is gonna be the first national team in Africa to have a team, and that I'd be able to play for them, was just one of the most amazing. I feel truly lucky that I'd be able to represent my country in any sport, but definitely the sport I love, lacrosse, and it's just amazing. And I think it's an opportunity to kind of humble yourself and know that you're representing more than yourself. You representing Uganda at the world stage. You represent your country. Probably any athlete representing their country kind of can relate to that. It's a whole different type of motivation, a whole different type of feeling, and knowing that you'll be able to grow a sport, especially as niche as ours, and show that, hey, even Africans, not even Africans can play this sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we going out there and we getting better, and then just knowing that it's bigger than yourself. And I'm really excited to go out and compete, and so that we can compete with other countries and grow the game to the point where maybe it's being played at the Olympic level. In years down the way, being Olympian would be a whole nother experience. So like, I hope, if lacrosse ever reaches that stage, which is leaning towards, I think 2028, there might be a version of lacrosse in there. So I want to make sure Uganda is represented at the Olympic level as well. So like that's really one of my goals.
Now, is that I guess a common concern for these national teams to be monetarily to not be compete, or is that just kind of like a real one-off? You don't see a lot of teams have that issue.
I would say it's one off, but it's a couple off, and it's different. So it's basically a lot of the national teams. There's fees, or like the players are able to afford to pay for their own expenses, and they have their own equipment. A lot of them are American players or European players that already been playing the game. They played in college. They have their equipment. They have everything, and they can afford to buy like a helmet and some decals and like a flight. But for the countries that cannot, that's definitely an issue, because it's really hard, reaching out to like a lot of lacrosse communities, especially after COVID happened. Or I mean, a lot of lacrosse companies, especially after COVID happened, because they're like, we give you helmets, but how are we gonna make our money back? And it's like things like that. It's like, dang, like we only need some helmets. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
cleats, like some sticks, something. But it's almost like it's just tough. Like not even just money, like getting equipment, anything like that, and shipping it. Like to ship something to Africa is extremely expensive. So, and then who's gonna bring? Am I gonna bring 500? Things over like when I go. Like so, it's really hard. I think in that position in the smaller sport, I think, with bigger sports, like there's a difference because maybe the government's backing it or things of that nature. In lacrosse, we kind of don't have that. We kind of don't have that luxury, at least right now, to be supported.
Right.
So it's like a lot of fundraising goes into it.
So, to grow the game, right? You just kind of came back for a conference, or not a conference, but an event. Tell us a little bit about the event you just came from.
Yes, sir. So it was the Nation United Boost Camp. So Nation United is a club team that kind of recruits nationally all the best players of color, and they show up at certain tournaments and they compete. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a really unique opportunity. I was talking about I was the only black player on my team throughout my whole career. I wasn't able to play for Nation United in high school, but they invited the Boost Camp is basically inviting all the best collegiate players of color to one area to compete and get trained by the professional players of color that are in that space in the PLL, and giving back to that next generation.
That's
So that camp,
awesome.
I don't invite only, and it's like 3 days of hard work. I just got back from. I'm still banged up and bruised a little bit, but it's hard work. But it's also building that network and building that connection. One of the unique opportunities in lacrosse is that the professionals are almost at an arm's length. It's like it's not like I'm a football player. How am I gonna meet Tom Brady? It's like I got the all-star phone number. I got, what I'm saying? It's like,
That's awesome.
especially in the black lacrosse community, and I think the black community in general really likes to support each other and come together. So, lacrosse is no different. I basically know a whole network of African-American lacrosse players just like me. And it's because of organizations such as Nation United that have made that possible.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, man, in effort to wrapping it up, man, this is where we call the assist, man. This is where you get to drop kind of like, words of wisdom, a coaching gem, or just a quote or something you would tell your younger self. So give us a quick or a short quote or just a coaching gem, man, that you would want to either tell your younger self or tell our listeners.
I think definitely to bet on yourself and reach for the skies. Don't set limits. Don't listen to what nobody tells you either. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna listen to it, use it as motivation. When people tell you no, go prove them why. Why yes. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and do anything that you put your mind to, because it's only up to you. And you only live in this world for so long. So, make the most out of it.
Love it. Love it. MH, final thoughts?
Yes, sir, man. Right back at you, man. Make the most of it, man. Enjoy your time where you at as an athlete, a young athlete, and keep doing it, man. We support you, man. So we rooting for you, bro. Appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely, man. And we're definitely Black in Sports is definitely going to make a donation, man. And, definitely going to share this out to people, and then, I got that scrolling, but we'll put that in our show notes, man, because $5 adds up, man. So everybody drop a $5, do that text to that. Was it 801-801, right? Hope I put that right in the stream.
01801.
So, hey, man, just like I said, I want to thank you again for jumping on, man. All the work that you're doing. We're looking forward to continue to follow you, to see the success. Now we got somebody that we're rooting for the Uganda team. So we're going to just be seeing you do all the accomplishments, man, and what you're doing for the students and just that NIL game, man. So once again, man, thank you, Seth, for coming up. We want to also thank you, our listeners, for checking us out. We drop a new episode every Thursday. And then please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because visual representation matters. So subscribe, and you can listen to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. So please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.